So tonight's topic is going to be about reduction gears that I have in my patrol. Now, I have mentioned them a few times throughout my number of my videos, and I do get asked a fair bit about them. And a guy only messaged me only a few days ago through one of my social media platforms asking if I could do a video and sort of just chat a little bit more about the gearing and the reduction on them and how that sort of all works and whether they're worth getting and all that sort of stuff. So pretty keen, if any of you guys out there, whether you've got reduction gears yourself in your full drive and what you think of them and what percentage you got. Anyway, we'll get to this as we'll go through loud and clear. All come through loud and clear. That's all ace. Righto. So we'll get into this. So, the reduction gears that I've got on my patrol, I've had them in there now for best part of 10 years, I reckon. And, I reckon they're probably one of the best modifications that yet I've done in the patrol out of all the things that I've got in it that I've done with it. So how do they sort of work? Well, what happens with it, in your transfer case, we're talking about manual vehicles here, really. Or you can chuck them in autos as well. But yeah, look, in the transfer case, you've got only changes your low range gearing too. It doesn't alter your high range gearing. So it only changes low range. So what happens is the standard low range cluster that's inside your transfer case. So in my case, I've got a 5-speed gearbox. There's first, second, third, fourth, and fifth in the low range gearing there. Well, that whole cluster gets removed. So they take that cluster out with those 5 cogs on it, and a whole new cluster gets replaced and goes back in it. So, but the gearing cluster that goes back in is slightly bigger than what you had from standard. So there's a fair bit of work in getting them to fit in too. So they don't, well, particularly with mine, they don't just fit straight in. There's a bit of machining that's got to get done inside the transfer case to fit that, particularly that first gear one, the bigger one, the bigger cog at the top there, that's got to fit in there. So there's a fair bit of machining's got to go on to fit that low range cluster in there. So good idea if you're going to go and get them, make sure you get them done by someone that fair income knows what they're doing, because you'd hate to machine someone that's not a bit sure and they may be machining a bit too much out of the inside of that transfer case, and then in the end of the day, the sidewall on your transfer case becomes pretty thin. So that's what ends up happening. So a whole new cluster out, new one goes in, and that's what happens. So now there's a couple of percentage ratios that you can sort of look at. Mine are a 43% reduction from standard. Now, with the tyres that I've got, 43% reduction with this 33-inch tyres, it works absolutely fantastic. It's feeding them. It's great when I'm out there on the tracks and going up and down any of that sort of steep country that I've got going on out there. So my second gear, and just to give you a bit of an idea, my second gear before, so when it was still had the standard low range gear cluster in it, second gear before is about what my first gear is like, or my second gear now is about what my first gear was like, the other way around. My second gear is now is about what my first gear used to be like. So gives you a bit of an idea on what first gear now is like. It's pretty insane stuff, and it's great for, in that sort of steep country, there's really hardly a steep track that I'm going down where I'm not accelerating down. And that's certainly a better place to be in. You're better off accelerating down a hill rather than being on your brakes all the way down. So that's certainly one of the big advantages of having these reduction gears put in your transfer case for those reasons. They're great for, that slow rock crawling, all that sort of stuff. But as I say, it really allows you to stay off your brakes. But be pretty keen to see if you guys, Leanne, always thought you had a 42. Yeah, look, I've always called it 42, but apparently it's 43. So we'll call it 43, so we'll get it right. But I've always thought it was a 42, but hey, we'll go with 43, 1%. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference. But anyway, we'll jump on it anyway, and that's what it is. 43 apparently is what it is, so we'll go with that. Go, Bill, coming from Dubbo. Thanks very much there, guys, for coming in tonight. Bruce, thanks very much. G'day from Melbourne. I used to live down there, so it's not so bad. Hobbs 44, Mark's 43s. Here drop in my 4.2, dead set amazing, crawling up and down hills. Yeah, look, absolutely the same. Same with my mate, and particularly that first gear. First gear is fair income insane from what it was before. Works really, really well. And not that I ever drive like this, but fifth gear in mine flat out is sort of, doing about sort of 40, 45 k an hour tops in fifth gear in low range. And so that gives you a bit of an idea too. And look, as I say, I never drive it like that, but just to give you an idea on how low the gear ratio is, about 40, 45 k an hour is flat out, and it's ringing its ring out in fifth gear. So so that's just how much they do lower that gear ratio by putting particularly the 43% reduction. It works exceptionally well. So what else have I got? Now? Should I have gone? There's one more. I think there might be a 60 something, but I know there's definitely a next big jump up from mine, which is probably half again. So that's about 85% reduction, I think it is. Now, should I have looked at an 85? Well, after putting the 43 in, there's no way I would ever be going, not with 33-inch tyres anyway, with that 85%. It would Finningham do your head in with that size tyres on. So 43% works really, really well with that size tyres. Look, if you're going to go 35s or 37s or something like that, up around there or a little bit bigger, well, the 85% reduction probably would work really well in your transfer case with that sort of size tyres on. But like if I was to chuck 35-inch tyres on now, with that 43% reduction in the transfer case that I've got, I'd pretty much probably nearly lose all the benefit I've got out of my reduction gear. So there's certainly things you need to think about. If you're looking to look at putting reduction gears in somewhere down the track, tyre size is a big thing you certainly need to think about. So if you're going to change up to bigger tyres down the track and you've only got that 43, maybe 43% in now, well, you need to sort of think about that, because it's probably going to bugger all the advantage you've got with your reduction gears. Scotty there, 63 with 33s. There we go. He's one with 63. I thought there was a 60 in there somewhere. Wagon's perfect. 85 in my previous GU. But yeah, too low. Yeah, 43 is good. Best mod I've done. Yeah, same with me, mate. Yeah, best thing I reckon I've ever done too. But that's interesting. You got the 63, but yeah, 85 would be Finningham insane with 33-inch tyres. It would do your head in, I reckon. So so 43, but there's a 63 that Scotty's got there. So there's some good feedback there on the gearing there that he's using. Ross, g'day, mate. I've been watching videos most of the day. Couldn't find one that covered basic tools carry. I got a little bit of a one there. Yeah, look, I haven't probably gone into that sort of detail. I should look at getting one done. Now you sort of mention it, mate, but there is one there that on one of my solo tips on videos that I've done, that sort of goes into some of the spares that I do take. So maybe have a bit of a look at that one too, mate. And but I should look at that's a probably pretty good list you've put together there, because I pretty much cover all of that stuff you got there. So yeah, we'll look at doing that for sure, mate, down that track. Greg, based on what your description, my Land Rover country would be similar to the gear ratios. Yeah, they'd probably be very similar, mate. And so well worth having a look at it. Now, I don't know what they're probably cost today to get them put in, but like I said, mine were done 10 years ago, and they were a good couple of grand to get done then. So they'd be probably a fairly expensive little operation to try and get them done today. But well worth it if you can look at doing it. The reduction gears is absolutely amazing. What impact and effect it has on your vehicle in steep country. Absolutely sensational. Mike there, do reduction gears assist with sand driving? That's one of the questions I've been asked now with sand driving. Now, depending on how soft the sand is as to whether you might even be in low range, because to get momentum to go up a hill, sometimes you might be maybe in first or second gear in the high range. But if you're going to use the low range with the reduction gears, I'd probably maybe get started. I'd probably get rolling in probably third gear, depending on what the track is like and how steep it's going to be and that sort of thing. But just to get rolling, I'd probably get going in third gear so I can get enough momentum up and then maybe throw it into fourth. Depends, again, what sort of steep country is. But they would certainly help. There's no doubt about it. They help in any sort of terrain. But only thing with the reduction gears, you're going to run out of speed. Especially in low range, you're going to run out of speed. That's the thing if you're up a real long, steep hill. Need to have a think about that one with doing long, steep sand dunes with the low range reduction gears in. But they certainly help, though. They certainly help in all sorts of terrains. There's no doubt about that. Mark. Is Mark on? The three different sets. 85 is the slowest, 60 odd is the middle. Yeah, we sort of had a bit of chat. That Scotty up the road a bit further up. He's got the 63 and he loves it in his GU. 85 is a huge drop. Motor would be, yeah, maybe work. Like I said, I know how hard mine works now. If I was going to, well, not to drive like that, but yeah, with 43% reduction I've got now, yeah, it works pretty hard in fifth gear. If you want to drive it that hard, but I certainly don't drive it that hard. But yeah, but 85 would be absolutely revving its ring out. That's for sure, no doubt about that. Sarah, if you had $1,000 to spend on a stock four-wheel drive to go normal camping, what would you spend it on? $1,000. Gee, that's a good question. What would I spend $1,000 on a stock four-wheel drive to go camping? Probably geez, it's that's put you on the spot. $1,000 to spend on a stock four-wheel drive to go camping. Depends on where you want to go and sort of how extreme you want to go. Look, tyres and suspension, but $1,000 isn't going to go far. If you're talking about putting stuff into a full drive, maybe dual batteries and that sort of stuff, getting some electrical gear sorted out so you can run some appliances and that sort of thing. But depends on what sort of how extreme you want to go with any of your camping, I suppose there, Sarah. But yeah, maybe look at some electrical gear and a bit of lighting and that sort of stuff. You're not going to get a great deal with $1,000, that's for sure. But maybe look at that sort of stuff, I reckon. Would probably be a good start. Yeah, tyres, that's for sure. But yeah, tyres and suspension. I've got a video there on my 8 top tips with, setting up full drive for beginners there. So maybe have a bit of a look at that one too there, Sarah. You might get a few tips out of that one as well. The tyres and suspension are, number 1 and 2 for sure. Scotty, good going, good mate. How do you go through last week's storm? Yeah, I was okay where I am here, no dramas at all. I'm pretty high up in Traff, but further down the road there, Traralgon and those sort of areas, mate, they got absolutely hammered. So I went for a bit of a run through Lacola only today and had a bit of a look around, and the damage is pretty bad in up through there. A lot of the rivers have sort of come down a fair whack from what they were, but there's a lot of damage going on. I actually might do a live chat about this later on through the week because there's a fair few closures still going on over and above the seasonal closures. So we might have to have a bit of a chat about this going forward. Might do it later on this week, maybe Monday, Tuesday night this week. We'll have a chat about that. $1,000 on food, food and beer. Gee, that's going to be a cracking weekend with $1,000 on food and beer. But yeah, big one. G'day, Doug. How you going there, mate? Going pretty good. No worries at all there. $1,000 is on fuel. Yeah, depends on where you're going to go and where you put $1,000 in a fuel or not. $1,000 is you can go a long way on $1,000 worth of fuel. There's no doubt about that. Two-stroke, what's going, mate? I got 63% reduction with the 3.9 gears and 35s. In case you've done gear ratios as well, that's a good thing, especially with 35s. There's a good calculator on Mark's Four Drives workshop. It tells you that it works all that out for you. Well, there you go. That's pretty handy there. But if you're going to change diff ratios as well, especially with 35s, well worth doing if you're going to go to those sort of bigger tyres. So that's a good combination you got there, mate. Cruising with Borgie. How you going there, mate? Going all right? Off to Mount Selma next Friday with a few elevated camping. Mate of mine's just come off Mount Selma only this weekend and no snow. He was canned up around 1,300 odd and nothing at all. So, and I don't think we're going to see any snow this week with the forecast that's coming up. So there we go. So there's a bit of a chat there. I thought we'd just cover a little bit about reduction gears and sort of how they all work and the percentage I've got. And, would I put them in again? Absolutely. They are an amazing modification to have. And if you can go and get them, certainly well worth looking into reduction gears down track. But again, you got to weigh up on what sort of terrain you're going to go and drive too. Don't just chuck in reduction gears just for the hell of it because you're not going to get full benefits out of it. But if you plan on doing, a lot of rock crawling, steep country, both up and down, all that sort of stuff, reduction gears are worth betting them their weight in gold. Absolutely amazing. And the biggest thing I get out of them is I'm not on my brakes going down steep hills. Doesn't matter how steep they are pretty much. Very rarely, if ever touch the brakes with them on. In first gear, low range, just sensational. So there we go. So that's what I sort of think there. Can you do reductions on an auto? the auto lockup kits is probably well worth having a chat. Maybe have a chat with Rod and Stu over there at Wholesale Automatics. They are well worth having a chat to about lockup kits for autos. But yeah, and they will sort of work sort of very similar to what the reduction gears do with the manual. So maybe have a chat with them about that one, mate, and they'll certainly sort you out. Off topic, but where does Tambaretha Road eventually go from Lacola? Tambaretha Road, where does it go? It goes all the way up to Arbuckle Junction. Then you can hang right there once you get to Arbuckle Junction and take that through Maroka Road to the Pinnacles, or you continue on Tambaretha Road, and that's pretty much where it finishes there at Arbuckle Junction. And if you continue straight on, that's the start of High Plain Road, and which is now seasonally closed. So that's about it for Tambaretha Road. Starts to turns most of its bitumen for probably about first 20 odd k's or so, and then it turns to dirt. But yeah, it finishes at Arbuckle Junction there, mate, at about 1300 odd or something like that, where it is. Generally some pretty good snow up there too, so well worth going for a drive. Checking that out up there. Leanne's on there. She's doing me Becca. How many times, Land Cruiser, how many times have you had to fix your air lockers leaking and at what cost? Yeah, I've had a number of air leaks with the lockers that I've got, but again, they're best part of probably 10 years old as well. Yeah, it's just one of those things that's going to happen with, I suppose, with air activated lockers. You're going to get air leaks in them occasionally every now and then, so just got to sort that out. But they're all working fine at the moment. Yeah. And other thing that's gone on with them, the rear O-ring's been gone in the rear diff a few times, or 3 times. So the rear diff's been pulled out and that's been replaced a number of times. But other than that, they work pretty good, those lockers that I got in there. Ripper week. I hope you had a good weekend, and we'll catch you a bit later on the next one. Thanks very much, guys. See you later on. Hooroo.